It was definitely not an ordinary day for the scientific team in the Arctic area. Scientist Arthur noticed something magnificent in the ice, but he wasn't sure what it was. However, it was just a matter of seconds when the entire team was immediately on their way to get that piece of ice to the lab. God knows how long this creature had been frozen in ice before it was found by Arthur. He knew that this could be the discovery of a lifetime and could not wait to get it freed from its icy coffin. But when Arthur finally gets through the frozen wall and sees what it is that he is dealing with, he is stunned by the true magnitude of his find. He had brought people with him from the nearest village to help him get behind the ice wall and help him come face to face with what could be his greatest discovery. The crew starts to carefully chip away at the ice until they finally get close enough to get an idea of what they are dealing with. But what did Arthur discover in the ice wall? And how had he even found this ice cave in the first place? And could this possibly be a discovery that the world would be better off without? But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming stories. With century-old ice melting at an alarming rate over the past couple of decades, more and more secrets that were once hidden beneath it are becoming accessible, potentially revealing incredible things to be discovered. Explorers from all over the world are ready to pounce on these opportunities, trying to forever cement their name in the history books. Most of these explorers failed dramatically in their effort, but Arthur, a 36-year-old scientist, is not. Most explorers, and his most recent mission proved that. His journey will take him to northern Greenland, land that was previously completely inaccessible and thus still very much unexplored. But with the effects of climate change, this has recently changed and Arthur is determined to use this opportunity. Arthur sets out on his journey, trying to find something frozen in time beneath the ice layer which is getting thinner and thinner. He is equipped with the bare minimum to survive on this journey, and thus the first couple of weeks are tough to endure. The first few weeks are tough. With only enough to survive and no comforts from home, Arthur is determined to find something to make the trip worth it. He's been hiking for miles now. Any civilization is at least 2 days away, but then he stumbles across something that may just be what he's looking for. As the days turn into weeks, Arthur gets discouraged. His supplies are running out, and he's questioning his every move. With a final burst of courage and determination, he continues to hike out. Searching for anything, a strange shadow, maybe a weird rock, or even a crack in the ice, he continues to look almost desperate. On the wide ice-covered plain, he spots it. It's a rock formation of some kind, or so it seems. It's something at least. He heads toward it. This is it, his last hope. Once he gets close, he determines that it is a rock formation. But there's something else. There's a breeze coming from small holes between the rocks. Could it be a cave? Or a tunnel of some kind? Overwhelmed with excitement, Arthur does his best to move the rock out of the way. There is most definitely a hole behind the rock, but where does it lead? Arthur is a seasoned explorer, but he knows the dangers going alone would mean, especially since no one knows exactly where he is or what he's doing. There hasn't been phone service in 2 days, and there's certainly been no internet. Thinking rationally, Arthur knows he should go back to the nearest village. He'd probably get cell service back and internet as he got closer. Maybe he could call someone to help him and come back, but then again, would he be able to find this hole again? With curiosity getting the best of him, Arthur decides to take a short look into the hole. He won't go too far, and he'll certainly be careful. After all, he's a seasoned explorer. The hole quickly turns into a tunnel. It's narrow and difficult to walk through. He has to be careful with every step he takes. Arthur is afraid that rocks could come loose and collapse on top of him, but as he goes deeper down, this seems less likely. After all, everything is frozen together. The further down he goes, the wider the tunnel gets. It's dark and cold. Arthur doesn't realize just how far down he's gone. Curiosity has gotten the best of him. Looking back, the entrance seems so small. A little light and a lot of darkness. Arthur is so excited. He could be the first person to ever see this cave. Making his way through it, he finds that the cave is bigger than he thought. He knows he should leave and come back, but this needs to be explored. Walking around for hours, there's nothing but ice and rock. But his luck is about to change. Trying to keep track of where the entrance is, Arthur continues to walk around. It's only then that Arthur spots an ice wall that is different from the rest. Because of the layers of ice around him, they seemed very blue and white. But this ice wall is different. There's some form of dark silhouette behind it. It can't be just another rock. This was felt strange and he had to find out what it was. Walking closer to the ice wall, he shines a light on it. There is definitely something here, but what? He shines the light over the dark silhouette, trying to make out anything that could give him a clue as to just what this is. Going through what little supplies he has, Arthur finds his small pickaxe and begins to chip away at the ice. Unfortunately, it's pretty solid, but given how little progress he's made, it's just not worth it. He's been stubborn all day. It's true that he's made some questionable decisions. After all, he's deep in a cave under the surface all by himself and no one even knows he's here. It's time to go back and get help. He can't make this discovery alone. It's time to be sensible and call it a day. Before leaving, he pulls out a piece of paper and begins to map out the cave as best he can. He wants to be sure he can find this place again. It's only once he has this done that he makes his way back to the entrance of the cave. He was definitely leaving, but only for now. There was something here and he had to know what it was. By the time he gets out and back to the surface, it's dark. He needs to set up his camp soon or he'll freeze. While he gets to work with that, he makes his plan for tomorrow. He's got some work to do. He's going to head back to the nearest village. From there, he's going to recruit a group of people to help him get through the ice wall. He could tell his peers, but they'd stick their noses into it, maybe even try to take credit. He wants to do this discovery by himself. The journey back to the village was long and difficult. The cold wind had picked up and snow had started to fill the air. Arthur was in serious danger of hypothermia, but he didn't care. He was more concerned with remembering how he could find his way back to the cave. All throughout the night, Arthur dreams of the dark silhouette. What could it be? A new species, something made by humans a long time ago. Chuckling to himself, he even considers the idea of Bigfoot, but that's absurd. He barely gets any sleep, but come morning Arthur is ready to take off at the first rays of sunlight. He had noted his exact location on a digital map he had downloaded, but this was very inaccurate as the map was way too zoomed out. And he had been paranoid about putting something like a flag next to the cave just because somebody else may find it. So he was doing his very best to remember the exact location while journeying back. He had picked out certain landmarks that helped him pinpoint the exact location of the cave again. He was determined to find his way back to the cave, whatever it takes. In the town, Arthur is quickly able to round up some guys that are willing to help him out for money. He doesn't tell them much about what he thinks that he found and just keeps it at needing some help digging out something from the ice. People in this area are willing to do anything for money. Luckily, the townspeople are not interested in asking a lot of questions and are just interested in making a quick buck. They used the rest of the day to prepare for the journey back. They made sure they had the necessary equipment for the job. Arthur got very excited about the quick response of the locals. He will soon claim his discovery. They get supplies, tools, and snow scooters that are capable of traversing the terrain. Between this and paying the helpers, Arthur sees his bank account drain very fast, but he is willing to spend every penny he has and even goes into debt if necessary as long as he can make this discovery. He just feels like this will cement his place in history forever. He always wanted to be famous for something he would discover. The next day they attempt to travel back to find the exact location, but this is a lot more difficult than Arthur had hoped. Luckily, they can easily find back the area in which the cave is located because Arthur noted it on the map. But because there has been a snowstorm raging for the past 24 hours at least, a lot of the area has been covered in snow. The entrance was nowhere to be found. Arthur got a bit desperate. How could this happen? The landmarks that Arthur had tried to remember are mostly covered, and this makes the search for the cave a whole lot more difficult. After hours of trying, the townspeople are ready to give up and head back. But luckily it doesn't get that far as one of the helpers, who is poking in the ground with a stick, suddenly feels it shoot through the ground and falls down. He poked the stick straight in the snowed-in hole. Arthur's heart skips a beat. This is it. This is all that he had been able to think about for the past couple of hours. They make their way down the hole as quickly as they possibly can. They still had to be careful. The whole way down was slippery and Arthur did not want anyone getting hurt. When Arthur sets foot in the big cave again, it is exactly how he remembers it. He almost sprints to the cave to get to his frozen treasure, finding it again within minutes. There it is, the huge wall with the silhouette inside of it. The townspeople are very confused as to what they are witnessing. Arthur had not told them anything about that they were going to have to dig out this. Arthur wondered for a second if the townspeople would be willing to help him in his endeavor. Now the helpers themselves are getting excited. Were they going to be part of something historical here? They are quickly getting to work, but try to be as careful as possible. They don't want to risk damaging the find in any way. They need this in prime condition if at all possible. The layer of ice is very thick, and getting through it as carefully as they are doing it takes a hell of a long time. They were not sure if they even brought the necessary equipment for the job. One of the workers hits the ice a little too hard and everybody stops what they are doing. Suddenly rumbles are going through the cave, from the point where the worker hit the ice. Large cracks are starting to form that spread quickly through the ice. The helpers all take a couple steps back and some even start running towards the entrance again, fearing that the whole cave is about to collapse. But Arthur is frozen in place. His instincts tell him to get to safety, but there is no way he walks away from what could be the defining moment in his life. Seconds later, the ice wall that they have been digging in for the past hour comes crashing down in a million pieces, and what has been hidden behind it for probably centuries finally revealed. Behind the ice wall is not a creature but just a stone wall. But a stone wall with an enormous and most likely ancient drawing of a human-like creature. It was drawn so thick and dark that he was able to see the silhouette through the clear ice. But now that all the ice is broken away, a lot more drawings are revealed on the wall. They remind Arthur of old caveman drawings. Arthur had expected to find the remains of some undiscovered creature, but maybe these drawings could be an even more significant find. He had to get the news out as fast as he could. It was still a great find. It proved that humans had been here, and maybe experts would be able to determine from when these drawings originated. Arthur knows that it is now time to inform the media and his peers. This was probably one of the greatest discoveries in the area that has ever been found by a single man. In the next couple of months, a lot of experts visited the ice cave Arthur had discovered, and the site was quickly declared protected so that people could not enter it without permission. Arthur was really proud in hindsight. It did cost him a lot of time, money, and effort. Arthur was credited with the discovery, and his name would forever be cemented in the history books. It was and still remains his crowning achievement as a scientist. He might not have gotten rich from the discovery, but he cared more about the credit anyway. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss unbelievable tales like this one.